Are we being influenced, or are we the ones that are doing the influencing? And do we understand those who influence us, what their motivations might be? A lot of questions to try to answer today around the word influence. Mike, I remember some number of years ago when I first started down this path of trying to find things Hebraic in their revelation. One of my parents at the time looked at me and asked the question, so are you saying that you're right and the pastors that we've had are all wrong? I was put into a place of challenge. How do I honor and respect the men who taught me what they knew without agreeing with them? How can I disagree and still show honor? They did influence. There was some it was good. There was some that I have found was an error. Influence is a boat with holes in it. How do we fix the boat, Mike? This is Barry Phillips and Mike Creighton, the Foundations for Life. Thanks for joining us. And Mike, it's your turn.
No. All right. Well, let's go to this aspect of one of your parents looking at you and saying this. Therein lies a problem in life. Not to dishonor your mom and dad in any way, but therein lies a problem in that it either has to be this way or that way.
Yes.
And so where you were heading is you were heading in the truth, which means that obviously, well, if you're heading to truth, then what was has to be error. But the truth is that they were walking in their truth, which then led you to a greater truth. There was truth. There is truth in Christianity. I mean, as crazy as this may sound, there's truth in Catholicism. There's truth in a lot of things, but it's that the truth gets watered down with a lot of error, with a lot of falsehoods, with things that do not make that truth empowered. Truth by itself will be an empowering force. Truth that's watered down will lead to compromise.
Okay. Agreed.
Now, let's go to this word that we want to talk about a little bit. This word of influence. What does it mean to influence? Let's go, of course, to Merriam-Webster. Okay, that'd be a great place to begin with. And Webster defines the word influence as a noun. It's an interesting thing in the English language, which I'm not much of an expert on since I am from the South, that many words that are tagged as nouns should actually be verbs. And if we were to look at the word influence with a Hebrew mindset, I dare say that we would have to transform that word from a noun to a verb. Now, with that being said, the word influence means the power to direct the thinking or behavior of others, usually indirectly. So influence is directing someone into a place that they were not aware they should go. What do you think about that?
Well, first, a qualifier, the reason that we don't speak English well in the South is because we don't speak English. We speak Southern.
That's right.
It's a different language. That said, and I'm sorry if someone doesn't understand Southern.
Yeah. This is a Southern-based program.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. John Maxwell, leadership guru, said leadership is influence.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say, we lead someone indirectly, I think in the Hebraic roots movement, community, whatever term best suits your understanding. It's a little bit more direct. People who have media presence of some sort, books, videos, online, etc. There is a more direct intention of this is right, this is good insight, this is good teaching, and some are direct enough to say, if you don't agree with this, you're in error.
Mm-hmm.
We came out of wherever it was that we were at previously, oftentimes angry and upset about whatever it was that we thought was in error and wrong teaching. And many folks, at least in the time frame that Laura and I left our previous institution, it was thought that it was intentional,
mm-hmm.
that people knew what the truth was and chose to hold the party line for the sake of their pensions, their benefits, their position as a pastor or whatever title they had.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were grieved and angry and very, very intolerant of some things. Thankfully, the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, allowed us to calm down just a little bit and not be quite so accusational against everyone, and realize people taught what they thought was right. And they still think that they're right. Well, bless Yah, we think we're right.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my question is this: Am I solely influencing, or mostly influencing through my words? Someone can watch me on a video or on this program, and they can hear my words, and they can determine by my words whether it agrees with this word or not.
Yeah.
And make a decision. But I think the more powerful influence is our living. If you see us online, you don't know necessarily our day-to-day living. So, we can make heroes out of people. In 1 Corinthians 3, Rav Shaul said this, begin with verse 2. Well, I'll go back to verse 1. And I, brothers, was not able to speak to you as spiritual ones, but as to fleshly, as to babes in Messiah. I fed you with milk and not with solid food, for until now you're not able to receive it.
Mm-hmm.
And even now you're still not able, for you are still fleshly. But since there is envy and strife and divisions among you, are you not fleshly and walking according to man? This is the area of contention. For when one says, I am of Shaul, and another, I am of Apollos, are you not fleshly? And they evidently were basing their influence and their conclusions and their understanding based on their favorite teacher.
Well, that never happened today.
You like somebody's style, you like the way that they describe things, you like the subject matter, the scenery behind them, whatever it is, and you are prone to listen. That's not really good criteria to choose to listen to someone. How does your influencer influence you to walk a more righteous life? I guess is where I'm going.
So with this world of video, Zoom, all of these Vimeo, everything that we've got out there, YouTube, what I'm kind of hearing from you is we can look at the people that we look to for teaching. We can look at them the same as you would turn on the whatever sitcom in the evening that you might want to watch. You turn it on the same as you do the evening news or your favorite game show. It becomes the same thing. There's no it's like, well, I agree with that, I don't agree with that. but the media that we have today, I'm thankful for it, but it does not allow for true influence in a person's life. What you just said is that someone can watch me. I'm coming up. I mean, I've been doing videos online for over 20 years now, and when I'm out at a congregation, I meet people. I've heard it numerous times. I didn't know you're that tall. Why? Because most people only see this part right here.
I
And
get
so
the same response, Mike.
yeah. Okay, I'll let you have that one. Yeah, Barry is actually 6'5", but he has his chair way down. He's almost sitting on the floor. Uh, so it is very difficult to truly influence in such a way that brings forth impact in a person's life without personal interaction.
Say that one again. That's the meat of it right there.
Personal interaction is what will bring forth true influence, which leads to an impact. What is the difference between influencing a person and impacting a person? Influence is I'm guiding you toward a place. As a teacher, as a shepherd, I understand where I'm wanting the sheep to go. Influence is when I get them turned in that direction. Impact is when they begin to move in that direction on their own.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I've impacted someone's life, is when they're not looking to me for direction. They're just kind of glancing over their shoulder and going, am I still going the right direction? I've got this. I'm moving forward. That's where we've impacted someone. And we see this in the book of Acts a lot. My question, though, is really a little bit different avenue here regarding this. Before we can become influential in people's lives, we must ask ourselves the question, are we kidding ourselves about being influential? Are we kidding ourselves? When it comes to this Hebrew roots, messianic walk, whatever, Ephraim, whatever tag you want to put on it today or this week, maintenance is not influence.
Mm.
Is this movement, I know that a mutual friend of ours in Oregon doesn't really like that word, but sometimes it fits all too well. Let that go. Maintenance is not influence. Are we today influencing, or are we maintaining? Now, I think this can be done, Barry, with a very simple bit of homework. Whether you're a teacher, whether you're a student, whatever place you are in this, look at your life. Look at the last month. How many new people are you reaching with any kind of relationship? I'm not talking about, talking to them about Shabbat or, lecturing them about why they shouldn't have a ham sandwich. How many new people are in your life today that were not in your life a month ago? For those that are in your life today, have your relationships with those people grown in the last month or not? Are you basically talking to the same group of people week after week after week, hoping that somewhere along the way you're going to get a different result than what you've had week after week after week? If you don't see progress, then you're in maintenance mode, not influence mode.
Mm.
Maintenance
Yeah.
will not take you forward. Maintenance is basically, I've got the status quo. This is what I know I have to do week after week after week, and this is what I'm going to do. And maybe somewhere from the heavens, something's going to get zapped and take me into another place. See, this is my challenge. Until we come to the place of examining our own selves, our own lives, and come to an honest answer. Is my life influential or maintenance?
As you're describing that, I'm thinking of a leadership development tool that Laura and I did. Oh man, this had to be early 1990s, long time ago. And through answering a series of self-evaluating questions, how you tend to respond to certain situations. The exercise brought you down to whether you chose A, B, C, or D in a variety of situations, a determination of your leadership style. And in those days, what they were focusing on are you an Andrew? Do you lead by bringing people together? Andrew is the one who kept bringing people to Yeshua. Are you Philip, who leads by showing his homework? Philip's the one who said, there's not enough money here. We have this many people. We have this much money. Do you want us to spend all that money to buy enough bread to feed this many people? He used a comprehensive, analytical approach to determine the best path. Are you Kepha, who, no matter who else follows me, I'm slinging my legs over the side of this boat and I'm going to walk on water, charge. And then there's Yochanan, who leans on the torso, the chest of Yeshua, and it's all like, let's just all gather in together. My leadership style is to keep everybody together. And that day, I was Kepha off the charts. I thought I was an Andrew. And I remember my pastor coming, looking over my shoulder, and I'm sitting here stunned at my end result, and it wasn't even close. And I said, this can't be right. And he just laughed because he knew that's who I was. Well, Mike, when I left the previous denomination that I was in, I was Kepha. I swung my legs over the side of the boat. I hollered charge. A group followed me, and I led a big charge. But I was told then, and I'm evidencing it now, that Kephas eventually will get to the place and turn into Yochanans, where the ones that they led out, they just tried to keep them all together.
Mm-hmm.
I was making influence and impact. Now it's more, as you were describing, maintenance. There is still some influence in the maintenance if those that you have led are now needing to be encouraged, solidified, trained, and equipped and sent out, that they themselves become Kephas and become more energetic. I'm also thinking of the Saturday night standing on the platform with a guitar around my neck, leading worship when you walked in, and I saw you for the first time. You walked into that sanctuary. I had no idea what your influence would be and the impact that it would result in. So in 1999, I think it was, you were influential and had impact. Now, the impact wasn't smooth, wasn't easy necessarily, but it has ended up producing where my family and my congregation, where we are right now. That all being said, I don't want to be in a maintenance mode.
Mm-hmm.
For me to shift gears, because I have, I have congregants that are dependent upon me. I'm trying to preach and teach a word to them that causes them to become more energetic, more influencing or influential or impacting themselves. I'm trying to raise up influencers in their daily living. My impact and influence may not be as direct. It now, as you defined influence earlier, it may be more indirect, in that those who hear me would then also take that opportunity that's presented to them to be an influential, impacting person. I can, if I duplicate myself, I can reach more people than being the individual. One last thought here is a visionary without a vision becomes a static person.
Mm-hmm.
I have been a visionary. I have seen things. I have had an understanding of what things could be. But when the previous vision has played out, I need another vision.
Mm-hmm.
So Kepha stood on a rooftop praying and got a vision, realizing the Goyim, the Gentiles, are to be included in what's going on. When he wrote 1st and 2nd Kepha, he had another vision. Those that he had won and influenced and taught and raised up, be careful, because this is the vision of the last days. These are the insidious individuals that are going to come in and try to shipwreck you. This is the reward that is laid up for us if we are faithful to the end. He had another vision. It wasn't as exciting, perhaps, as the previous one. Mm-hmm. But at the day that he gave it, it was extremely necessary, and it's still necessary for us.
So to back up just a little bit, when we're talking about influence and maintenance, there is a place that an influencer will at times look like they're in maintenance mode, because they're having to work with other people that they have brought together and help them to become influencers. So that may look like maintenance. The other side of that is that when we fool ourselves into believing that the maintenance that we're doing is actually influential. You have someone that is you're trying to lead them in a place and they're not willing to go there. They just become they just kind of hang around the premises. It's like instead of standing on the promises, you sit around the premises. That person is not influencing someone else.
Yeah,
and so if we spend our time trying to influence those who have no desire to influence another, then we end up in maintenance mode with nothing going forward. There is something that people have a very difficult time with. A statement that I heard, I can't remember from where or who, because I listen to so many different things and my life does not have footnotes. But it is, do not be surprised when the Father takes someone out of your life, because he understands that they were keeping you from going where he was calling you to. So our life should not only be about people being brought into, but be people being taken out of.
Mm-hmm.
Not always is someone being taken out of our life a detrimental thing. Sometimes it is for our own good, though that's difficult at the time to realize. But that person can be holding us back from the vision that the Father has for us. That person can be holding us back from meeting people who will help us move forward. Moving forward, the question, I've talked about this numerous times. I was up in Seattle going to the Apple store with a good friend of mine at the time, and they asked me a question. How do I know what the Father is doing or desiring to do in my life? Well, I mean, that's kind of the question of the ages. What is God's will for my life? How many times have you been asked that question? Hundreds. And before I gave the religious answer, I said, let me think about that one for a moment. And then I considered it like this. In order to find out what he is doing in my life and the direction that he is leading me to, I need to be conscious of the people he's bringing into my life. No one comes into my life by accident. I believe in divine connections. So when someone is brought into my life, I can be in a crowd of people and one person stand out. I'm witnessing that right now in something, I won't go into details, but a specific group of people that I've been associated with recently. But there's one person that's kind of standing out. And so what I'm doing is I'm watching that relationship, because in that relationship, I believe I will have guidance of moving forward myself and influencing that person. So, these are all things about life that sometimes we kind of take things as coincidence or happenstance, or the word that I refuse to allow to be a part of my life is the word luck. There is nothing of luck. And I'm not going to, the pagan origins of the word. I'm not going there. There is no room in the life of Mike Clayton for luck. None at all. There is only room for divine intervention and direction. And when we begin to live our life like that, Barry, our life becomes defined, determined, and we then have the opportunity to influence others in their own walk through our walk.
As you're describing that, Mike, I'm thinking, okay, someone's listening to us describe this process of influence. They may be asking themselves, okay, how do I become an influencer? The Hebraic Roots community has a well-deserved but unfortunate reputation at times. The throw-around terminology that we use quite often is Torah terrorist, where we seek to influence other people by telling them they're wrong. And in order for you to be right...
That's called dictatorship.
It's called what? You broke up there.
That's the dictator, not an influencer.
Yes. So we tell people, you're wrong, and in order to be right, you have to agree with my perspective. And then we pull out the word and we try to show them in the word where we're right, they're wrong. When someone has been raised to culturally accept certain foods and certain practices and certain pronunciations and so on, and then we just show up on their doorstep and tell them this is all wrong, 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 wrong. You need to do it this way. We should not be surprised when they put up a wall every time that they see us. They're not going to listen to us. So being obnoxious about your presentation of things, is not the best practical means of doing of leadership and influence.
True.
There is a wonderful skill that the Ruach had to teach me, and that is share a thought and hush. Sometimes you just mention one little thing and bite your lip and walk away and let them ponder on that and become inquisitive about that and meditate on that. And when they have a good taste in their mouth from that, they will come back and ask you for another taste. One bite at a time. If we do the Torah download on someone, they're going to drown in it. They're not going to survive. But there's a couple of other practical thoughts here. One is you got to live out what you're professing. And by that, I mean, if the Torah that you proclaim does not make you joyful, please keep it to yourself. No one wants to follow or listen to or be influenced by someone that has an angry, argumentative, harsh tone about their life, and there's no joy, there's not a smile. And the other thing is, be willing to talk to someone about something else. Build a relationship with them. Find a common interest and talk about those things. You don't have to preach to them every time you see them, because your living preaches louder than your doctrines.
Yeah, that one could be written down somewhere in stone, maybe. Your living. Say that one again.
Your living preaches louder than your doctrines.
Exactly. So I have to differ with you on one thing, that angry people will be attracted to angry people.
Do we really want that? Unless we're trying to raise up an insurrection of some sort?
If you want to be surrounded with angry people, be angry and watch how many people will be, will come to you, and then don't be surprised when you become more angry. Regarding the, giving it to them, how do you eat an elephant? Okay. That's the, huh?
One bite at a time.
No, you should never eat an elephant. They're not kosher.
No.
You fell into that one.
Yes.
Okay.
How do you eat a whole steer?
If they were kosher, you would eat it one bite at a time. You're giving some really great principles here of a relationship, of, say something and find out what interests somebody else. It's very, if you find somebody not interested in what you're saying, it's because you're portraying your interest onto them, not finding out what is interesting to them, which means you may have to broaden your interests in order to be a part of this relationship. These are all kind of crazy little life lessons along the way. But I think the first thing that we need to think about, Barry, regarding this thing of influencing people, there are the vast majority of people out there, even those that are watching us today or whenever, say, well, I wasn't born to influence anyone. That is a lie.
Agreed.
The reason you were born is to influence someone. The reason that you were brought into this walk is to influence someone. The very fact that a person is born, why did in the beginning, Bereshit bara Elohim, in the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. Why? Why did he do that? So that we would have a realm to influence. You and I don't influence the heavenly realm. The heavenly realm doesn't need my influence, thankfully. Now, I guess we could go to, demonic. Okay, yeah, I got that. But his throne room doesn't need my influence. But the world I walk in on a daily basis needs my influence. But I will never influence someone until I understand that I have within me the power to influence. Not because of who I am, but because of who he is.
Mm-hmm.
I truly believe that and this may sound really arrogant to someone, and I know we're running out of time. This may sound really arrogant, but I truly expect that when I walk into a room, that the room changes. The reason is because of who I walk in.
Yes. There's
When you and I walk into a room, if we are in Messiah, then the same power that raised him from the dead is dwelling within us. And we bring that power into the room. The resurrection power of Messiah is entering into the room. If the room is not changing, ask yourself, am I truly connected with that power?
And I say this to my own hurt, to my own correction. Our prayer lives walk in the room before we do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we could go another hour in that direction about influencing the heaven through prayer, etc. But thank you, folks, for watching Foundations for Life. Thank you for hitting the like button at the end of the video. And if I may ask one other favor for many of you that would be willing to do so, share it on your social media sites. Just hit the share button and click. It helps to broaden our scope of influence. So we're trying to do that, and you play a key role in doing that. So when you like a video, when you share a video, when you add your comments to a video, it's very much appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Barry, I mean, something we've said may not be for a person that's listening, but for somebody they know. And they have it in their, they have now a tool to influence another with our voice. But it's that clicking that share button. Well, I don't know. Go ahead and share. Go ahead and become an influencer in someone's life. Reach out and try it. When you get the feedback from it and fruit coming back, it gets pretty exciting.
Yeah, sure does. So until next week, shalom, everyone.